this video today, I'm going to demonstrate my Realistic HTX-100 amateur transceiver for the 10-meter amateur band. These radios were produced under the Realistic name brand for Radio Shack by Uniden Japan starting in about 1988. The model was discontinued sometime in the 1990s. This particular HTX-100 was sold at a Radio Shack store for $259.95. At least that's according to the price tag that's on the box. The unit's previous owner to me was Bill K4BPH in February of 1993. At least that's when he wrote his name and call sign in the owner's manual. I acquired this unit in July of 2006. This was actually Radio Shack's first amateur radio in its stores. This probably explains this ominous warning that came with the radio.
The HTX-100 has USB and CW modes only. If you wanted to get FM and AM, I think, it was a HTX-10 version. But the HTX-100 is a good overall performer. I bought it mainly as a vacation field day radio, and I've had many phone and CW QSOs over the years with it. But it's still a very usable radio today, thanks to FT8 and the whisper modes. At one point, I even thought about using it as a beacon transmitter, and I built this little beacon controller module out of a 555 timer and a counter and an EEPROM, but I never really put it on a 24-hour beacon anyhow. And with Whisper and FT8, there's really no reason to have a beacon going. You can pretty much tell what you're doing on the bands just by looking at the displays that you can get from that work in conjunction with the FT8. It's a fairly chunky radio. It weighs in at about 4.19 pounds is the specified weight. That's about 1.9 kilograms. And it's about, you can see about 7.25 inches wide by 2.5 inches tall, and it's about 8 inches deep. It's about 185 by 62 by 200 millimeters. It's RF power output. There's two power settings, and I'll show you what we're getting out of this one later. On high power, it puts out 25 watts specified, and on low power for QRP, it's a 5-watt radio. Let me show you some of the controls and basic operation of this radio. So the power switch is on the volume control, which is pretty classic. Oh, there's a beacon on there. There's usually not any. The bands have been really noisy lately. Yeah, I think this is Long Beach. Yeah, Charlie Alpha. I'll let you listen to the music of CW. I actually like CW. I know I'm an old guy. Oh, QSL. Well, while it's doing that, reading the addresses and stuff, I'll demonstrate the RIT control. So you can hear, we can tune it then to the really fine. It's mostly for clarification of sideband. See if that really is Long Beach. Yeah, WA6APQ. Long Beach, comma,
California, Charlie Alpha. So yeah, it's how I use these, how I use the memories, and I'll, oh, sorry, bump on the camera there, is when you're in the memo mode. I don't know if you can see its little memo up there. You're either in a memo or a VFO. I just stored the frequency. So either memo or VFO. So in the VFO mode, you can see I was in, last time I used it, I was tuning SSB channel in. And the memory mode is whatever you have on the channel will stay there. So if I go in and change this to 3.3 and then go away and then back, it'll be back to 3.0. So the memo keeps the channel. And if you want to tune it, say if I wanted it on that, on 3.3 for some reason, I don't know if it sounds any better. Yeah, a little worse. You, you can store it by hitting the store button. Then when you go away and back, you're at 3.3. So that's how the memo works. It's a little annoying. You only get 10 channels. So how I set it up is Memo 4 was probably a net that I was listening to. Memo 5 is in the CW portion of it. I think it's mainly for motor noise for mobile use. I'll turn this back down again. But that's how I use it. I'll save my operating mode channels or frequencies in channels. This is the FT8 channel. Oh, looks like we get some signals. Oh, you can hear howling away there. So the band is actually opening up. Yesterday there was absolutely nothing on the band. It was just total crackling noise. So that's the FT8 channel. And then this is the start of the phone band 400. And then the beacon band. That's just the last beacon I was listening to when I tuned it. It just happened to be Long Beach. So that's the basic operation of the radio. The other thing I like on this radio is the microphone jack. The microphone jack is a good digital port because it contains the audio out, which is makes a nice clean cable. The earphone's right next to it, so you could make a octopus cable in there. And actually, I use this because once I hear that the band is open and things sound reasonable, there's not a lot of noise and stuff on it, I plug in a dummy load here to take the noise out to keep you from driving you crazy. Because the audio is not a true digital port, it's controlled by the volume control. So if you have to have it cranked up to get a good signal on your USB interface, sound card interface, it's going to make a lot of noise. And digital tends to work for long periods of time, so you can drive people nuts. So anyhow, that's the basic control of the radio. I think it's a pretty straightforward, easy, simple layout. It's what you would expect on a mobile radio. Not too many menus and controls. Good overall, clean, efficient layout. Simple, and that's the way we like it around here.
Let's do the power output test. So we'll do it on CW. It's kind of hard to do without a tone on sideband. So we're on CW, double check CW. I'm in the CW portion of the band. I've got my bird watt meter, which basically lives on my station. And then I got my trusty J47 hooked into the key jack. And we'll give it a power down. We're on low power, put it on low power, and fire it up. So we're just short of 2, 4, just short of 6 watts, so about 5.5 watts, pretty good. And now we'll go to full power, put it in, and this is 20 watts. We're on the bottom scale, it's a 100-watt element. So we're past 20, 22, almost 23 watts, not quite 24 watts. So that's pretty good. Might use a little tune-up, not too bad at all. And now we'll just quickly flip it over to sideband mode and give it a test. Testing 1, 2, and you can see the meter going up. It's hard to judge what it is because of it's not a steady signal. If I had a 1 kilohertz signal, but you can see we're putting power out. People could hear it if they were wanted to on 10 meters. That's a iffy thing. So there we go. CW, SSB works, and I'll put some close-up shots of the watt meter in case I misread it while I was trying to do all this stuff. So What I may do next is I may set it up just to show how well it performs on FT8. I'll try it and see if we can get anything on it, and I'll show on the screen how many stations we can get. Okay, I'm going to do this handheld, so there's a couple screens that we have to look at. So there it is. You can hear it's pretty weak and noisy, but as long as we have a proper signal, let me put in the dummy load, get rid of the noise.
Get my microphone out of my mouth. So that's the setup. I have my signal link, my little homemade cable, and there is the FT8 screen. And you can see we're getting signals from pretty much everywhere. There are a lot of signals calling CQ. Those are the ones we can hear directly. And we look up on my map screen. You can see there's a few stations. It's not like crowded with stations. But we got Fiji coming in. We could actually hear him directly. And there's one of my neighbors down in Mexico. There's in the middle of California. In New Zealand, we hear directly. A couple Australians. There's an Australian calling CQ, -12. We might be able to hit him. So what I'll do, just because my channel looks pretty clear, is I will put it on CQ for a while and let her transmit. And you can see we're getting almost full power out. Running at our 20 watts. We'll let it run a few cycles on CQ. Let's see what happens. See if we can get anyone. You'll see a happy pink little bar come up, and you'll see the traces come across. So this might take a few minutes because there's the queue. We may not get anything, but you know, being that there's that many stations when you hear that crappy signal, that it goes pretty good. And even on a small radio like this, I would go to CQ only just to see people we're hearing directly. Sometimes you get excited, you see a far off station and realize they're just answering somebody on the East Coast, and you'll never get to them. But you know, for an FT8, if you have a little FT8 rig in your shack going all day, and you can do the same thing on Whisper. And these transmissions take a while. It doesn't look like we're going to get anyone this afternoon. It's about 4:30 or 20 local time. But just to show the setup works, it's got a lot of stations coming in. A couple, if you look real close, a couple New Zealanders, Australians, and we just keep pounding away. I tried to call Fiji. That's why the line's coming off of Fiji on the map. I tried to get them earlier when I was just setting it up. So that's just one example of what you can do with this radio, low signal work. It doesn't take up much room in the shack. You know, you're not using your main rig, and you can just have that going in the background and see what you can get. I'm gonna go disable the transmit now. I don't think anyone can hear me. Who knows? Anyhow, that's the setup for Whisper. I mean for FT8, and Whisper is about the same. It just doesn't transmit as much, and you can see on the grid tracker the global reach you're getting. So I think that's the. Oh, actually, we just got a response here. Better re-enable the transmit and get this guy back. So we actually picked up a AF6 Golf Mike. He's my neighbor. So he's in DM12, I am DM13. So it works. You can do QSOs with these things. It's a very fun little radio, low power, and it works. That's the good thing. We're gonna complete this QSO, and then I'll clean up my bench, which is quite a wreck here. And this radio is going to be going on the auction block here pretty soon. I'm running out of room, starting to downsize, and I'm going to go ahead and let this radio go. So I'll put a link in the down below, and to what's happening on the auction. Probably be on eBay. So hopefully, if you have any, and if you have any questions about the rig, or you want to see anything else demonstrated while it's on auction or off of auction, go ahead and leave me a message, and we'll answer any questions you have about the radio or any mods that I did or didn't do to it. And we're at the Roger, Roger, Roger. We'll have a happy QSO here in a minute. We're about to finish it out.
Okay, so if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to put them down below. I'm going to leave a couple links for some pertinent information on this radio and some of the things that I've come across. And if you stuck with me this far, thanks for watching my video.